be talking about Atlanta real estate. Atlanta. As you already know. So, like I was telling you, ooh, I don't like that light back there.
The
The
shine.
wind, yeah, the wind.
Looks like
Pull
there are
up closer.
angels around us.
There we go. So the, I believe it's the Olympics, right? There's an event, a sporting event that's
I
going to
thought
be
you said
happening
World Cup.
in Atlanta in 2026. Let me see, World Cup Atlanta. Okay, yeah. So the next World Cup, the dates of the Atlanta World Cup is in 2026, the FIFA World Cup. So just by simple deduction, this would be the best time to go set up a business in Atlanta. Any type of business, or even if you purchase real estate in Atlanta, 2024, I can predict that you're going to see a significant appreciation with your in your property within the next 2 years. What do you think?
Um, yeah, probably. Well, I'm sure. It has to be, right?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So we're gonna watch some videos about real estate in Atlanta and what's trending out there. Well, I mean, when you when I think about it, just like we're recently watching a video about mobile home parks specifically,
Mm-hmm.
it's underrated.
Yeah.
Mobile home parks already have this negative perception for whatever reason, based on outdated information.
Mm-hmm.
They're on the mobile home parks. I would imagine that the next 5 years we'll see a rebranding of what people consider mobile home parks. They're gonna target millennials and make it more spicy, more interesting.
Spicy mobile parks.
Yeah, themed. You know, catering to a different kind of audience because the perception of mobile home park is just for like low income,
Yeah.
maybe even elderly.
Yeah.
But that perception needs to change because
So what type of people do you want in mobile home parks? Or what's your dream, your vision?
I imagine mobile home parks to be more like the ambience should be a bit more uplifting. The landscaping should look pristine and basic amenities, things that you expect when you go to like a 5-star resort. It shouldn't cost too much to have those things available.
Mm-hmm.
Chairs, seating, available seating in random places, beautiful flowers, um, fire pit,
Grills,
grill, you know,
like dog park and then children's park.
a lake maybe with fountain.
Actually, a lake would be nice with like fish in it. So, a few fish.
Yeah, you can fish from it. You can allow fishing. So I think that mobile home parks are this sleeping giant, and this is probably a good time for us to look for mobile home parks in Atlanta, Georgia. So we're gonna see what some of the YouTubers think.
He's happy.
Hey guys, Kevin Bupp here, and in this video, I'm going to speak to the 5 biggest risks that are associated with buying a mobile home park. The very first one, and probably the most commonly made mistake, is overpaying for a mobile home park. Now, this mistake happens in every different real estate asset class, and it happens equally as much in mobile home parks. So simply put, make sure that you fully understand your underwriting and how to value a mobile home community. And we'll have a few different videos as well that teach you how to do that. But simply put, do not overpay or stretch too far when purchasing a mobile home park. The second biggest risk that I see is purchasing a mobile home park in a bad market. Now here's the thing. You can take a very ugly mobile home park, and if it's in a good market that has great demand for affordable housing, you can take that ugly mobile home park and clean it up and get rid of the bad elements, because you know that there's plenty of really good elements. There's good people in this community that are looking for an affordable place to live. However, you cannot take an ugly mobile home park that's in a bad market, that doesn't have good folks looking for a clean, safe, and quiet place to raise their family. You can't take that bad mobile home park and make it better if you don't have good positive elements to bring into it, okay? And so I've seen situations in the past where someone will bring me a deal, where a student will bring a deal to me that they just purchased. It's a beautiful mobile home park, not even an ugly one. It might be a beautiful mobile home park. However, it's in a bad local economy. It's in a bad marketplace. It's got jobs that are leaving the area. It's got a declining population. It's got a low median home price. It's got low median rents. And so although the park might be pretty, there's nowhere to go from there. You don't have a lot of good elements that you can pull into it to keep it stable. So over time, the biggest risk in that scenario is that folks are moving out of the area. The jobs are leaving the area. Who's going to live in your mobile home park? Okay, that's a huge risk, and it's one that's real. So be sure that you buy something in a very strong market. I'd rather see you buy a very distressed mobile home community in a great market than a pretty mobile home community in a bad market. Now, the third biggest risk that I see when buying a mobile home park is not identifying failing infrastructure inside that mobile home park. And this is something that you should be able to uncover during your due diligence phase. And this can mean many different things. One of the biggest components of failing infrastructure is the water and sewer system. Now, this can mean public water and sewer, or this could also mean private water and sewer. Now, in a private water and sewer system, which I feel is the bigger risk, from a sewer perspective, you might have septic systems, you might have a lagoon system, or you might have a wastewater treatment plant. All three of those have general life expectancies associated with them. They don't last forever. There's components that fail. Sometimes the entire systems fail. A lot of mobile home parks were built 40, 50, 60 years ago, and they have these original systems. You have to be able to identify what the life expectancy of that existing system is, and make sure that you set aside appropriate reserves to repair either what's needing repairs today or what might need repairs in the immediate future, or maybe in the next 5 or 10 years, okay? So make sure that you identify when there is infrastructure problems that exist. From a water side, that is a well system. I've seen situations where buyers will go in, they'll purchase a mobile home park, they don't perform the due diligence appropriately, they'll buy a park that has a failing well system, where that well system has been contaminated, meaning that the aquifer that it's pulling the water out of has other elements in there that's contaminating the water. The big risk and the big liability is that you're feeding water to an entire community, and that water could essentially poison them. This is a massive risk. Huge risk, and you'll find yourself in the headlines of the newspapers if you don't identify that problem ahead of time. And then the last thing here regarding infrastructure is public water and sewer lines. Typically in a mobile home park, even if the water is provided by the municipality, you are the owner of those water and sewer lines. Water and sewer lines don't last forever. Depending on what they're made of, you got to understand that. You have to get an idea of how long those systems might last, or those water sewer lines might last, and what the cost of replacement will be when that time comes. Because believe me, it's not if the time comes, it's when that time's going to come. And so you got to be prepared for that and set aside the appropriate budget to replace or repair those items. Now, moving on to the fourth biggest risk when purchasing a mobile.
All right, so just listen to him so far. This is obviously things that we would want to consider when we're purchasing, when we finally actually find the property.
Yeah.
But what I'm curious to know is, what is the market like for these types of properties, right?
Mhm.
Mobile home parks.
Okay. Also, how do you find them? And
Buy mobile home park. Mobile home park in Atlanta. How to buy a mobile home park. Yeah, I want to filter the search to like view count and recent. Where's the date within the past this year? So this year. Okay. American Dream, Stolen by Reeds, Finding Dancing, whatever that is. Make $20,000 a month flipping mobile homes. Okay. Child care. Okay, not bad. Wiki up mobile home park residents upset over eviction notice. Look at this. Isn't this a legit keyword? Buy mobile home park in Atlanta. Why is it that relevant
Yeah.
stuff is not trying? You know what I mean?
How to buy a mobile home park.
Okay. How to. Here we go. How to buy mobile home park.
But it's still getting you older ones.
This is old.
Yeah,
How to buy mobile home parks off market.
there you go.
And that's good. It only has 82 views.
Well, this probably isn't a hot topic, okay?
In Atlanta, though?
Yeah, in Atlanta, everywhere. I think this isn't something that I usually don't see this type of real estate investing videos, So it's probably not the hottest thing.
You mean specifically mobile home?
Yeah, mobile homes, mobile home parks. So I think the guy that from the video that we watched a little while ago was right. Like everyone's sleeping on this.
Mesa mobile home park evicting residents. You want this new mobile home. They talk about the mobile home, but they don't talk about the park itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, there isn't a lot of real estate. Um,
Ooh, prefab house. Look how the industry is changing.
which one?
Right there, just released. That looks a lot different from typical mobile homes on the market right now.
Yeah, man.
It's beautiful.
Just gotta stay focused. Top 5 cities for mobile home park investment. Well, that wasn't the one I wanted. I shouldn't have clicked on that.
Here are 5 cities in the Southeast that if you buy a mobile home park within an hour of these cities, you are going to be golden in the next 5 or 10 years. So the number 1 is Tampa, Florida. So if you can buy anything in and around Tampa, Florida, around that corridor there, you are going to be in fantastic shape. Number 2, Orlando, Florida. Kind of the same area, but the same thing applies because these cities are growing and populations are moving to these places in masses. Number 3, Charlotte, North Carolina. Same type of thing because since COVID, many families are moving from these northeastern states and these other northern states for various reasons. They are going to continue to populate these areas and it's going to start branching out because in the cities, no one's going to be able to afford to live there anymore. Number 4, Huntsville, Alabama. There's so many good things going in and around Huntsville, Alabama. If you can get a park within an hour of this area, you're going to be in good shape. Next market is Atlanta, Georgia. If you can buy anything around Atlanta, Georgia, you're going to be good just because of the population movement south.
So everyone just basically wants to move to the south.
Yeah,
But we kind of knew that.
that's why I'm not for settling down here in
Me too.
California. It's
Jeez.
just-
Ridiculous. It's not even as I don't know, I feel like the south actually has a lot more natural beauty.
Yeah.
'Cause people are always like, but California is so beautiful and the weather. Oh my gosh. I'm like, I don't know. You guys haven't been down south.
Yeah, they have-
I think that's why you're saying that. I mean, yeah, the summers suck, but that's really the only negative thing I can say.
It has humidity.
The humidity and just the summer, the humidity, the heat, and the mosquitoes. Other than that, the south is amazing.
Mm-hmm. And there's very little content. It's actually quite
Yeah.
annoying.
Well, just watch what you can. Because that one obviously looks like something we would want to see.
I'll try this guy.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Jose J. Garcia, real estate investor, coach, and mentor here. So I want to make a video. This is actually something I presented at the SECO, S-E-C-O, in Atlanta, Georgia, this past couple weeks ago, 2023, September. But look, the reason I want to make this into recording is a lot of people have messaged me to get more information about the services we do, what kind of type of work we obviously incorporate with the mobile home investing, whether individual mobile homes or mobile home parks. So I wanted to go ahead and take the time to make the same presentation I did at the SECO live conference here for you all. So what I'm going to do is I want to share my screen and I want to go over again the presentation. So let's jump right on into share screen. And I want to, at the end, I want to talk about opportunities we can also do with you park investors, park owners, operators, managers, etc. Because that's what this is about. So Lonnie Deals, that's the best well-known verse. And of course, Lonnie was an awesome gentleman. Rest in peace. But he is the one that created that strategy of investing in individual mobile homes. Now, the way we've blown this up is how can we do this in larger scales and again, benefit every party. So this is not just about the investor. This is not just about the end buyer. This is about everyone. When community park owners, managers, when they work with us, we're able to really, truly maximize profits all around revenues, whether it's pad infill, it could be rehabbing mobile homes inside of communities. It could be homes with titles, maybe some issues with titles. We work with bond agencies and loan. We're here to be, in a sense, a problem solver. You know, Lonnie Deals is really a quicker way route to profiting, maximizing every month. So let me jump in, okay? Lonnie Deals with myself, Jose J. Garcia, okay? So what is a Lonnie Deal? Lonnie Deal, mobile home, money magic. You know, he was known for getting creative and again, buying low, selling high, offering financing, offering opportunities is what he was doing. So buy mobile homes cheap, rehab them, make them presentable. I say make them presentable and livable. You want to get up to that code and resell with seller financing, which creating a note, rent to own, lease options. You got those strategies. And then creating cash flow. Okay. At the end of the day, you do get paid for, obviously, the difference. And great for generating passive income all around. And look, so many strategies that we can get into. I mean, we do rentals, rent to owns, lease options. It all really truly boils down to what the community, because this is a partnership in a sense. If a community says you are not allowed to sublease, then obviously renting is out. Now, me, myself personally, I like to create home owners. There is a big difference whether you're in real estate or mobile home investing. There is a big difference between a rental mentality and an owner mentality. An owner is going to take care of their home just a little bit more and have a little bit more pride. That's what we want inside of communities. We want somebody that comes in, takes care of the home, takes care of the community, and they actually like to enjoy to be there. Okay. Make it a win-win in buyer and communities. Like I said, I mean, it's a partnership in a sense. How park owners benefit from Lonnie Dealers, okay? Increase occupancy. A lot of mobile home parks that I visit, that I invest in, they have a lot of vacant homes. Again, fixer-uppers, handyman specials, you know the names to go with it. And the reality is, if a mobile home is vacant, it's not making you money. It's costing you money. So this is where we're able to come in and again, maybe purchase the mobile homes as is from you park owner or managers. We take on the assignment of rehab them, get them back up to code, livable, and put them back on the market, and you start making lot rent immediately. That's what you're in business for, to make money. Infill or remove unwanted homes. I don't like to demo, but I will demo a home if it's more beneficiary for me to get rid of one and bring another one. Use one new, just depends on what, again, the community may want. Stable cash flow. We have taken many, and I've been in business for over 7 years, and we've taken many mobile home parks that were not as stable as cash flow as they should be. And today they are fully occupied, 100%, okay? Anywhere where we can add additional mobile home pads, we'll do so as well. So we get very creative on that. And enhanced park value, like I mentioned, I prefer end buyers. So therefore, when they come in, there's a different type of clientele, if you will, who are actually going to take care of the community and really enhance that value. Collaboration opportunities, you know, we can sit and go over step by steps, different strategies. You know, at the end of the day, like I said, the goal is to maximize, is to really put every pad to work. Every pad in your community should be making you lot rent every month, all year round. That's all there is to it. mutual success. If I win, you win, end buyer wins, win,
You fell
win,
asleep.
win is the way
No,
we look at it.
listening.
It's a 3-win all around.
But
Park owner benefits, end buyer
I'm
provide
like,
opportunities
in the
too, and we
military
profit
school,
as well.
so from there.
Community improvement anywhere possible, we will help out on doing so also, and also giving you ideas and suggestions as to what we think can benefit. A lot of these communities you could be maximized, but it does not mean you're maximized with the profits, because there can be a lot rent increase, for instance. Now, how do you do that? Is obviously by bringing up the park.
Excuse me. Yeah, I don't know. This guy's just going on. I'm trying to figure out what the business is about.
I think that he's sort of like this third party that finds you, like helps you as an investor, finds you the deal, or helps you rehab. Because that's what he's trying to explain. Like, this is how you make money. So maybe it's like a company that helps people
Find mobile home parks.
find mobile home parks or
Buy
just
'em?
mobile homes and figure out how to cash flow them.
All right.
I guess.
It's not clear
Yeah, it's not 100%
To a sense.
clear.
What can park owners expect from Lonnie dealers?
yet.
Park owners can anticipate the introduction of qualified residents who undergo through approval process in accordance with the park's established rules and regulations. Here's the thing, and where I see a lot of park owners get a little insecure about is, well, if I give too much control over my park, if I sell too many homes to a same investor, that could ruin me potentially getting a loan, or it could stir some issues, or we can have some tensions. You know, Nobody, including myself, nobody bypasses the park rules or regulations. Whether you're an investor or an end buyer, everybody follows
They
the
talk
same
about
rules,
it.
the same regulations, and we're not here to take over. I'm here to be a partner and to make these things better. My suggestion to you, if you don't work with me directly, is if you do find a Lonnie dealer, is
Yeah,
start
I
out
think
slow
that's
and build that business relationship. Do not have a Lonnie dealer that talks about it, looks great. Everybody looks good on paper and they talk great.
Far. Close but no cigar.
Oh, let's just go to Zillow.
Why don't you click on that how to buy mobile home parks off market?
There we go.
So we had a couple of years of real estate experience at that point. We knew, hey, sure, we got into this duplex, then we did a BRRRR, those things were all fine and dandy, and we learned, and that's not going to get us to where we need to be with both of us quitting our jobs. So we have to go to that next level. And it made sense at the time. We had that experience with mobile homes. We understood how mobile home parks worked, and we were ready to go bigger. So we just absorbed all the information we could about mobile home parks for about 6 months, and then spent the next 6 months trying to find one.
What is going on, guys? Today on the Collecting Keys Real Estate Investing podcast, we have Amanda Cruz, who is a super inspirational investor out of North Carolina that in a very short period of time went from buying residential properties to becoming a mobile home park and commercial investor. And she dropped some incredible knowledge on this show that's going to leave you thinking, like, if it's really that simple, what have I been doing if I'm looking to make that leap? Like, it's really not as hard as so many people make it seem.
No, you just have to put in the effort, like she talks about, putting in the effort, putting in the time, be willing to pay to get to places faster, joining masterminds and getting around people that know what they're doing. And I always think about this too, like when I'm like, oh, that's going to be hard to do. It's like, well, there's other people doing it, so I should be able to do it. It's just how do I get from me to them in the shortest period of time as possible?
Exactly. Yeah. And as we kind of get towards the end of the show, she starts to talk about like her general process for how she finds the leads and sort of like her entire business operation, what it looks like. And I mean, spoiler, it is surprisingly simple, but she does give you like literally the blueprint about how you can go and do exactly what she's doing. So, she scaled it very, very quickly. Super great listen. You guys should definitely reach out to her as well. She's more than happy to chat with people. That's why people come on these shows. They want to get exposure to other people. So don't be afraid to reach out to her. Let her know you found value. Let her know that you're looking to get some more information about what she does in the mobile home park space. And I'm sure she would have some incredible knowledge she'd be happy to share with you. So anyways, guys, enjoy the show. Please go and share it with anybody who has any interest in real estate investing, making money in general, or just wants to hear about story from someone who's crushing it. Lots of, great motivational stuff there, regardless of what you're into. You can also go to collectingkeyspodcast.com/free, get our free 5-step guide to generate off-market leads. And then you can also start buying some higher class assets, just like Amanda does. Anyways, guys, really awesome episode today. Enjoy this episode with Amanda Cruz. All right, Amanda Cruz out of North Carolina. Super excited to have you on. You are a very highly referred person from Sarah Weaver, who we had on the show a few weeks ago, and really excited to hear your story and how you've gotten into all the stuff you're doing. So I guess people that don't know who you are, haven't heard about you before, give us the details, give us the lowdown, kind of where you started, what you're working on now, and everything in between.
Absolutely. So thanks, Mike and Dan, for having me. So my name is Amanda Cruz. I'm from North Carolina. I grew up pretty traditionally as far as jobs and work. My mom retired from a public school system. So I felt that if somebody he really respected could do for the rest of their lives, and there was only one time, we closed on ours the first week of April 2020. So we went under contract in January before the world changed. And
Got it.
That's funny. So Dan's actually been to war, so it'd be interesting to see
what the analysis said versus what actually happens. That's actually really funny. Interesting.
Yeah.
oh my goodness. So we worked with a lot of guys who had retired from the military, and then they would come over and they would see our analysis and they would just be like, it was a very good dynamic to have both minds there for sure.
Funny. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that's infinitely unpredictable. But no, that's interesting though, because I bet that experience
One when we first started. So, anybody who is really, really smart would get into real estate prior to having children, not when they have a 1-year-old. That's not what our path took us on. So we just made it work. And it was a lot of hours, and it was working in the evenings. We knew it was the right thing.
So this, Mike and I, this is our business, right? We search out and find deals before they are on the market. How do you find deals, and how did you find that first one? Because that is the biggest hiccup for people to start anything, is how do you find it?
So we did the same. We have our parks are off market, direct to seller. That's a lot more competitive than it used to be. Now, I didn't put the time into the broker relationships in the mobile home park space that I should have initially. And also back in 2020 and 2021, you could get a lot better deals for things in mobile home park space. The sellers didn't realize what they were sitting on quite yet, like they do now. I am putting a lot more effort into the broker space with other commercial assets. We are under contract and hopefully going to purchase a 47 lot park from a wholesaler in Tennessee next month. So, here and there hitting different places, but to begin with, it was strictly off market, making phone calls, figuring out who even owns the parks around, and then just making calls to them.
Right. Oh, just so you guys actually cold called these folks, or did you do mail or anything like that?
We did cold calling, which is how we have gotten several parks. We have done some mailers, but never consistently enough to get anything from it. Do you guys do mostly mailers or calls?
Yeah,
we do mostly mailers.
Mostly mailers.
But on the residential, single family, small multi, it's a little bit different than buying a 50 unit asset, right?
Yeah.
It isn't. I mean, we got that 55 unit that we did over in Ohio.
You could totally get, I don't disagree. You can totally get it, but can you build your business on one thing in an asset class like that? I don't know. I would assume you have to have, like you're saying, broker relationships and really curating the relationship with the sellers, because they're probably old baby boomers prepping to sell.
Ideally, that's
Yeah.
who we would like to buy from. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I mean, if they're in their 80s, when I see a phone call coming up, I'm like, sweet, this is. I don't want to, when I see somebody my age, I'm like, they're doing exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
This one time I talked to this guy who was my age and I was confused on the phone. I was like, hey, I don't usually talk to people my own age who are really open to selling and having a real conversation about it. And he ended up like his dad had passed away. He got the park. He didn't mean to. It was like
Got
a, kind of crazy story. But otherwise, if it's anybody under the age of like 55, I'm like, no, it's not going to work.
It's probably not going to work. Yeah.
So that brings up an interesting question I have on that. So obviously you're doing these calls. You're pretty targeted with that, I would assume. I guess where does your basic criteria come from? Are you actually looking for criteria in the park, or are you looking at criteria for the seller? Like in trying to find the people that are more likely to want to sell to you at a good price.
The parks, that's a much easier way to go about it. So we're looking for parks in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Tennessee. We want them to be 20 or more units. We don't want well and septic combined. I'm good with septic systems. We don't want any wastewater treatment plants. We want them to be where populations are growing, where there's some jobs around there. And so it's a lot easier in the mobile home park space to kind of figure out where all the mobile home parks are and then figure out who owns them, because I don't know their situation. I'm not going to not have somebody call them just because I can see that they're 45, right? We'll still do
Right.
that. It's just unlikely it's going to work out.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, that's cool. So then I guess as these first ones, you started to find the opportunities, you were doing this outreach. How did you know it was a good deal? Was this just you and your husband, or did you have a mentor that you were working with that was helping you out? Did you have another partner, or were you guys just going for it and seeing what happens?
Just the two of us. So as far as underwriting and executing, it was the two of us. Now, we listened to Kevin Bupp used to have a podcast on mobile home parks back in the day. So we listened to every
I used to
episode
listen
of
to him
that.
a lot. He's a great guy.
Yeah, I think he has a different podcast as well on just real estate investing in general. And for a while, he had a mobile home park specific one, which was very informative. And then we actually took a course from Frank and Dave. If anybody knows mobile home parks, they know Frank and Dave. So yeah, they have the CD course. Literally, it's in CDs. I think they've upgraded it since COVID, but we bought it and listened to 18 different CDs of mobile home parks. Now, this is in 2019, which you would not expect to be listening to CDs in 2019, but here we were. Luckily, I had an older car at the time that had a CD player.
Nice. That's funny.
That was great.
Yeah. No, so that's great. So then, just confidence going into it. I love the fact that you just went into it and pulled the trigger.
Right.
And I think that's where most people get stuck, is they're not willing to do that, right? And you even did it too, like you said, you closed on it after COVID. So you had every reason to do what everyone else did, which was not
Nothing.
follow through. But I would imagine that it was probably a very good decision at this point that you
Absolutely. It was a very good decision that has paid off in multiples. Now, I don't want it to sound like I wasn't scared. I was terrified.
Sure.
What I think I'm able to do, one of my strengths is being able to put logic to fear in order to move forward. So what was the worst case scenario that was going to happen to us at that time? Everybody would get laid off. They wouldn't be able to pay their rent. We would not be able to make the mortgage payment. We may have to, go through all of our savings and, worst case, we're in our 30s, right? It's just, okay. So then we have to go get jobs. Then we have to stay at jobs longer, which I was already doing. And so when you're able to take a step back and say, first of all, I run these numbers, I ran them, I know the numbers, 50% of people have to not pay to not make the rent. It's a solid deal. And my mom was like, are you sure you want to do this right now? Of course, everyone's saying it sounds so risky, because that's what people say anytime you're getting into real estate investing. That sounds so risky. Do you remember the Great Recession? But ultimately, if you're confident in your numbers and it's the right step forward, what's the worst thing that can happen?
Yeah,
No, you're
and
absolutely
that's going back. Have you ever heard of Tim Ferriss's fear setting
Yes.
sort of practice that he does, where you say the worst case scenario, and then you give what the next step is after that, and then what's the worst case scenario from there, and then you do the next step. And what it allows you to do is mentally overcome a lot of the unknown that you could face from the worst possible situation.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
sounds like essentially what you did. No, that's cool. So how'd you buy that first property too? Because that's always another thing as well with commercial assets is lenders, if you don't have any experience, I mean, you didn't have like a key person that totally knew how to run and operate these deals. Did you raise money for this? Did you like have the cash for it? Did you get a bank loan? Like what was all that situation?
We sold our duplex as part of the money is we knew we were looking for a mobile home park, and we took some money out of our retirement accounts. So we did it ourselves. We didn't want to bring in outside investors on something so new to us that was such a big leap, but we were able to have the capital from obviously having good W-2 jobs and saving up. So we took some out of our retirement.
I mean, come on, you've never been on Instagram. It's all about OPM, and you're
Other
supposed to
people's
like
money.
just max leverage and lose
Yeah.
their money. Don't lose yours. Get it out.
You should
And we do have investors now
Now
that were
you-
several commercial deals in.
experience.
It's interesting how so many years later, you see people now make fun of these gurus, YouTube gurus that we got used to listening to in the early days, where, especially around the pandemic time, it always seemed like there was someone who had all the answers. They figured out all the answers when it comes to their specific niche.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, how they made $150,000 in 1 week by doing the said thing. And if you buy their course, you suddenly
It's gonna happen to
it
you.
happened for you.
Okay.
And years later, you find out that nobody who bought their course has replicated what they do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I have a question too on that because you talked about doing, I think you called it the Lonnie loans to these mobile home, purchasers. So when you buy a park, do you want to buy it with homes? Because I know that also comes with its own challenges.
Keep watching them.
Okay, my preference is to have tenants own their own homes because it's more streamlined.
Right.
That being said, there are lots of things changing in the industry right now. The way that mobile home parks traditionally have been valued is different than how brokers are valuing them today, where the park owned home rent is counting towards the net operating income and being capitalized in order to make the price work. And that is kind of how brokers are running things today.
Interesting.
So that being said, any long-term plays that we might want to hold on to, I'm definitely would prefer the tenant-owned model. But anything like we have this one park, it was a complete disaster that we are, turning around. It's this big project we're currently working on. That one, I don't mind keeping more of them as park-owned homes to have that additional income because I don't plan on holding that one for very long.
Right. Okay. Yeah, Mike and I were underwriting a park, and one of the challenges, this is a couple.
Well, I think that what just popped in my head is that people still live in these parks. So even though you might have these innovative ideas, you also have to consider that the people who are living them might not like them. They might fight it or fight the change. Even though it's your property, you can do whatever you want.
So you're saying that, like if we bought a park that was already established and that already has tenants,
Mhm.
and you wanted to make changes, the people might not like the change and they'll leave.
Yeah.
Do you think that means there will be more room for people who do like the change and the type of ventures we want?
That's a positive way to look at it. That's the upside. But there's a delta between while
That
you're
time,
the time when you're
it's
upgrading.
empty. Yeah.
the vacancy.
2-3 years ago, one of the challenges with it was the seller owned like half the homes and then the tenants owned like half the homes, and then getting the financing lined up and all the issues with that, because he was looking at it as look at all this income, but then we were looking at it from a lender's perspective, which is like, yeah, that doesn't count though.
Yep.
And they didn't like the asset, and so I could see that being a challenge. And so you're saying now the way brokers are counting that towards NOI, are lenders actually also counting that as income?
Sometimes. So you have to have the right lender. And there are lenders who are who do a lot of mobile home parks. So one thing I would say, if you're looking at financing a mobile home park, make sure one of the first questions you ask any potential lender is if they already have a mobile home park on their books. If they don't, it's way too risky that their underwriters will not understand the asset class or feel comfortable with it and then walk away at the last minute and you'll be stuck.
That's good
No,
to know.
that's-
Great advice.
That's great advice right there. That's a huge tip. So I guess on that note, too,
I don't understand
for
what-
lenders with this, what
He's basically saying if we find a lender, then
Yeah.
the first thing that one of the questions that you want to ask is if they already have mobile home park in their portfolio. Because if they don't, they're not going to approve the loan. She's talking about when we find the possible lender and we want to fill out the application. When we make that phone call, first thing we want to ask them, have you guys worked with mobile home parks before?
What if they're like, no, but we're excited that this is our first.
They may not approve it. I mean, I wouldn't. I think that at this stage, I'll take any chance that I can get and just apply wide and see who's going to approve.
Okay.
I think that would be a better strategy.
Yeah.
like, are you looking at like local lenders primarily, or
Yeah.
is it? Yeah.
So
Okay.
Fannie and Freddie have gotten into the mobile home park game over the past decade. So they will fund some parks. They need to be like 50 plus lots and paved and in certain areas. Mostly though, it is these smaller commercial banks. So these local banks are the ones who are financing a lot of mobile home parks, just like a lot of commercial real estate in general right now. Because guess what? It's going to be personally guaranteed unless you have this 50 plus lot paved community in Charlotte, North Carolina, or something like that, then you're going to be personally guaranteeing it's going to be a local bank and it's going to be a lot on you and your personal finances, which is part of the game in commercial real estate until you're playing with, $10, $20 million assets.
Yeah.
Yeah, so true.
And
Like
that's
people are always like, don't get any recourse debt. It's like, well, if you're doing it the right way and you're growing up in the industry, you kind of have to take on some of that risk until you get that experience and you earn the stripes.
To be fair, we hear that a lot from a lot of people. I've never heard that from like not a rich old white guy that's been in the game for 30 years.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
when
I
you're
take on
starting
no
out.
no debt. Or if you're in other people's masterminds that tell you don't ever guarantee a loan, it's like, well, I don't know how you do it then.
A lot of times that works in multifamily a little bit better because those assets are priced so expensive. It's pretty easy to go find a $10 million asset. But in mobile home parks, you're often working with $1 million, $2 million assets. And those you are going to have to personally guarantee.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's awesome. So obviously you bought this first one. What's your total portfolio look like now? Over, in the last, 3 years, I think you've scaled up pretty quickly.
Well, we have 4 parks right now, 113 lots. We're under contract on another 47 lots right now.
That's great.
You know how that goes, where we've been negotiating back and forth, I feel like forever, where next week is the end of our 60-day due diligence. So one way or another, it's going to either happen or not after next week.
Nice.
go.
That's cool. And so have all those been direct to seller, and with you guys being like the just primary drivers, or have you brought in partners? I know you said you've raised a little bit of money.
Yeah, so the 4 that we own right now, those are all direct to seller. We had another 2 that we ended up assigning to other investors, so those were also direct to sellers. The one we're working on right now was a wholesaler that brought it to us. So we're kind of going in that direction. We do have a partner on one small park where we just went 50-50 in it. And then on our last park that we bought, that's the project one where we're doing a big turnaround, we did our first syndication last year. So we do have investors in on that one, and we'll bring investors in going forward.
Right on.
Nice. That's great. I love that. Like just keeping it simple, and you maintaining most of the ownership like that as well. I mean, that's where real wealth is made. That's always kind of the thing that drives me crazy with just the state of real estate right now is you have all these people that are like, I own 130 doors. It's like, yeah, but you're an LP in like a fund that like bought a bunch of stuff. Like you don't actually own anything. You have like a tiny fraction of an already watered down tiny fraction of what you invested in.
That you have
Yeah,
no
it's
control
easy
over.
to get in. Like that is one of the things when you get into the circles of commercial real estate, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, I have 100 million assets under management, and I have, it's just such like it's a little bit ridiculous. But
Yeah.
if you just have conversations with actual individuals who are doing stuff, you can kind of get away from showing off. Then
Yeah,
That's
it's
good.
way more impressive to meet somebody that's like, yeah, I own 150 doors than somebody that says, yeah, I'm a syndicator with 100 million under management. Like somebody that actually owns the doors outright. Like, damn, that is like legit.
Yeah. But it's all about marketing, right? You got to get like the
Right.
normies who are trying to get their money. You got to make them think that you're a big deal. So, but no, that's awesome. So I guess going forward, are you planning to stick with mobile home parks, or are you starting to look at some other stuff?
I love mobile home parks. We will keep buying those for sure. I also like other commercial assets. I like the ease of management. One thing we really like about mobile home parks is value add opportunities. We are value add investors, and those opportunities exist as well in the non-residential commercial space. And there's not as much competition in that space because there's no game plan of here's exactly what you do. Every asset is different and it's more challenging that way. So I've been looking at a lot of strip centers, flex spaces, some industrial buildings, some kind of small offices, not the office parks that are kind of loss leaders right now
Yeah.
in our environment, but sort of retail / office spaces where you can put a hair salon or CPA firm, those sort of things.
How do you, okay, so this is the second time you're really kind of in your career going from one asset class to the next. Like, how do you spin that up? Like, what are you doing when you say I'm looking at that? What is that first thing you started doing to get prepared to buy something in that area?
Yeah, so I joined a mastermind with Ash Patel, he is one of Joe Fairless's podcasters on the Best Ever podcast, right? So he has a ton of commercial experience. He knows what he's doing. And so I'm in their mastermind. So for instance, there's this one deal that I'm working on this week, getting under contract. It's in or outside of Atlanta. So I called his business partner, Rinku, and I was like, hey, let's go in on this together. You're the local one here. I'm not in Atlanta. And so being able to just have an instant phone call to look at my underwriting, an entire group of very experienced investors. We meet every Tuesday. So, putting money into stuff like that and the knowledge for me is well worth it right now.
Yeah.
That's
I love it. So
valuable.
your whole
Even as we want to get involved in this type of real estate, the smart thing to do is to join a mastermind group. Let me look up that.
Well, let's see if there are any Facebook groups, I guess. And then they would probably be able to. I think maybe that's where you can start. Maybe there's.
Ash Patel, Bigger Patel.
Yeah.
So here's the guy.
whole formula for how you've gotten where you're at is invest in education, invest in your network, take action. Like it really is that simple.
It does sound simple.
Yeah.
You have, I mean, it is that simple though, honestly. Like if you look at its core level, and you chose to take action on mobile home parks, and actually take action on commercial stuff. You're finding the people that know how to do it to pay for speed so you can learn to do it faster and learn to do it more efficiently. I'm sure in those you have a network of people as well that are like-minded, that are helping you make decisions faster, learn faster. You learn from their mistakes. They can encourage you and keep you accountable to what you're doing. And then you're doing the small, boring stuff to take action over and over and over again. And, I feel like most people, they never get anywhere because they don't do any of those steps, right? They're like, I'm just going to watch more YouTube videos, consume more podcasts, read more books, but I'm never actually going to do anything that drives and propels me forward. And
That's true.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's connection. Like nobody wants to make phone calls. I dread it, truthfully. Even when I see a seller call that somebody set up for me on my calendar, I'm like, oh, okay, I have to pick up the phone and I have to call somebody, and I have on my calendar every week I have to follow up, and then I have to call brokers, and I'm like, okay. But you're right, that's part of the game. And it's those small things that you just have to do because that's what your business requires, or else you're not going to have a business. You just have to make sure that happens every week.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not overly complicated. You just have to recognize that other people are doing it so you can do it, and be willing to, like what Mike was just saying, be willing to pay to get there faster.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, that's great stuff, Amanda. I love just like the trajectory that you've gone. It's so repeatable. It's very, very impressive, like how you've done it in such a short period of time. And it, you know, just comes down to good old fashioned hard work, which I know is what it's up for. So
Thank you.
that's good stuff. Awesome. So we're going to dive into the last few questions of our show here. The first one, and I'm hypothesizing that you might have some good stories from your, you know, your asset class, but what is the craziest real estate investing story that you have? This can be a big win, a big loss, anything.
Did you find any value in that video?
I just felt like there were warnings here and there and whatnot, but for the most part, I wanted to actually, I wanted them to like give us a step-by-step situation. Like, what should we be doing right now? And I felt like I didn't really get that. Or where did we go?
She did suggest she said that she joined a mastermind group. And
Yes, that's
where I think that's what the first step you want to do is to connect with people who are already in the business.
Right.
And then, you know, she even named them Ash Patel. So I found it.
All right, so.
Let's see what else is there. Turns out this Lonnie deal thing is probably legit.
Yeah. Maybe we should just look that up.
The Lonnie deal?
Yeah, let's understand what they're
Well, he's
talking
explaining
about.
it. We can finish watching this video. Let's just finish watching it.
They're showing what they do and what their business offers.
Heyday for you all. What we expect from our park owners, all the way around, right? Again, this is a collaboration, if you will. We envision a robust business partnership founded on collaboration, where we operate in tandem to achieve mutual benefit. If you're not benefiting from a Lonnie dealer or myself in this sense, if we work together, then there's no need in continuing. Okay. Our commitment extends to ensuring a seamless experience, even in case of evictions, like I mentioned, or foreclosures, with the assurance that the lot rent remains fulfilled as we are coming to an end. That's always evolving. But again, my suggestion to you is if you are going to start dealing with investors in your communities, Lonnie dealers, AKA, is that you really truly do almost like an interview. I want a full background. What's your experience? How many deals have you done? Do you have any references? Have you done any other parks? And if they have, get those numbers and follow up. Well, this is a business at the end of the day. It is imperative that these investors possess a deep understanding of mobile home investing, demonstrate a clear grasp of Lonnie dealing concept, and look, real estate and mobile homes are different. How you rehab a house is not how you rehab a mobile home, and vice versa. So the thing is, and some of Arkansas, we're doing some business as well. My goal is to be across the board, nationwide, within the next 5 rehab in one time.
I still don't understand.
So that we can truly make that winning concept, if you will. So connect with me.
We want to actually learn that concept because that's what their business specializes in, but it's not like he's, you know.
let's see. Lonnie D is still a thing. February 16th last year. After watching bigger podcasts, episode with Amanda Cruz, where she talked about starting off doing Lonnie deals. The conversation sparked my interest, and I began to do independent research. In the episode, Amanda says she started doing Lonnie deals, where she would sell or finance mobile homes to local buyers. I was able to post the family's friend's mobile home on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. After one day, we had over 50 messages. Many people are going to come to see it this weekend for a showing. That being said, what's the next step? I understand we're supposed to do our due diligence after the SAFE Act and selecting a proper buyer. Once selecting a buyer, we need to have a promissory note written up and taking down payment from the buyer. From what I understand, it is easy to sell a promissory note for full cash. Does anyone have experience with this? Also, thoughts on Lonnie deals. All right, let's see what the first person got to say. Dave Rabb from Summerville, South Carolina says, "Good for you. Sounds like you're off to a great start. Couple things. Don't make things more complex than they need to be. You mentioned the SAFE Act. Might be beneficial to take a look at applicability here. Are you a licensed mortgage originator? As for garnering interest, 50 messages is awesome. Our experience has shown that many potential buyers and tenants of mobile homes talk a big one. Only truly about 30% are serious. We recommend that you have a screening process as soon as you can. Ask about down payment, sources of income, pets, affordability. Also tell them about the home and send pics. Answer any questions they have. We once had someone go through all the process, complete a background, and was about to put down money only to tell us, this is a 2 bedroom, I need a 4 bedroom home. What was that about? As for promissory note, you might engage the help of an attorney if you're not versed. There's templates out there. Mm, a year ago, about a year ago, I've known others who have bought and sold promissory notes. Those who do it are already mobile home investors themselves. When selling, sometimes they just need extra cash. On the buying end, those who buy try to get some type of discount when purchasing these promissory notes. It all depends on the goals of each investor. Regarding selling on owner financing, if you have concerns, you may want to look into working with a licensed mortgage originator. There are investors and even parks who work with them. You may want to talk to some people in the business in your area. All right. We're still trying to get more information on Lonnie deals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Levi Parham, welcome back to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. So you're in town. I wanted to get you on the podcast, and you've been doing some interesting stuff with mobile homes. And I guess I just wanted to hear your story. Well, Levi Parham, welcome back to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. So
when my wife graduated from college, she took a job in
What happened to the audio?
works. And surely, like, finding mobile homes couldn't be that hard. And so I got into that, and so I started calling around to dealerships, local dealerships, and I found out which one didn't take trade-ins. And I just showed up down there after calling them. I called everyone and said, hey, do you take trade-ins? The one that said no, I showed up and said, hey, I want a job here, and I want to do your trade-ins and used stuff. They're like, well, we don't do that, but you can have a job. So I started there, and we had someone come in who wanted to sell a mobile home, and I flipped it. I bought it and resold it. Like, I sold it in about 15 minutes. So I went out to this person's house. They wanted to trade in to buy a new house. I went out there, made an offer on their house, and I had a park connection that I already knew from back when I was doing this, because it was right on the Greenville, or the South Carolina, Georgia line, near Greenville, South Carolina. And since we're here in Asheville, it's not far away. So I had this park owner I knew, and I called him before I got there. I was like, hey, I've got this house. I'm going to get a good deal on it. I didn't even know if it was a good deal or not, but I'm going to get a good deal on it, and I'm going to buy it today at around 5 o'clock. Are you going to meet me afterwards? And so I showed up, did a wholesale, because I didn't know what wholesale was, really. He told me what a wholesale was over the phone. I kind of knew, but I didn't know. And put it under contract, drove about 10 minutes down the road to McDonald's, and he paid me for the contract and went on. And I literally made $700, which is obviously nothing on a wholesale. And he didn't even take it in his park. He took it, put it right back online. I sold it to him for $8,000. He had it gone in 2 days for $14,000, so he made $6,000 off of me. But it was a good learning lesson, and it kind of showed me that I could do it. And so I kept doing that. And the dealership I was with was not liking me doing that, so I ended up leaving them and doing that full time. And now I just the main thing we do is find mobile homes for park owners. We're sourcing them from individuals who need a mobile home that must be moved for the most part. So you inherit it from your grandma, you're buying a new mobile home, you're building a house, whatever it may be, where you don't want it anymore. We're buying those and we're flipping those over to park owners and getting park owners single wides at affordable rates, and we're getting these people out of houses they don't want.
Yeah, wow. I rarely meet anyone whose first deal is a home run. It's just kind of like a way to get started and learn and get in the business. Going back there, obviously you talked about a lot of stuff that I kind of want to dig into, but what got you interested in the mobile home or the manufactured housing space in general? Like, how did you even get involved in that?
So I went to school for entrepreneurship. Like, that's my degree. And one of the things they talk about is, obviously, if you're doing the same thing as everyone else, like competition, like that book by Peter Thiel? I don't remember.
0 to 1?
0 to 1, where he's talking about, starting Monopoly or whatever, and competitions for losers. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
that kind of that frame of mind of what's everyone else in right now. And even though it was only a couple of years ago, mobile home parks wasn't it. Like, mobile home parks have taken off so much in the last few years that even then it was like so much quieter. And I remember when I showed up at the brokerage, and they're like, what do you want to do? Like, we're only by doing medical offices. Do you want to do that? And I was like, no, I want to do mobile home parks. And they were like definitely judging and all this other stuff. But that's what I decided I went into. And I took Bryce's class as like an intro to learn about the space, and just went with it.
So when you started with your brokerage, there was nobody else doing mobile home parks there?
No.
Wow.
No one. I mean, there was, it was a franchise. So there's other people within
Sure.
the SVN doing it, but at my office, there's no one doing it. And there was definitely, they were nice to me. When I said it, I could tell there's definitely like, oh, okay. You go through the mobile home guy.
That's a big difference from medical offices.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's, and I loved it. I embraced it because, everyone else was coming in there, and at first I was coming in there like a button up in my jacket and all this stuff. And I remember I went to my first listing appointment over in Asheville on a park that's near the VA. And I got out of the car, and he said, whoa, come on in here, pretty boy. I had like my jacket on. And I remember I got out of the car that day. I was like, all right, so flannels from now on.
Yeah,
so,
you're not an apartment broker.
Yeah, that's for sure. So yeah, I didn't put a jacket back on. Not even going to work anymore. I was the guy who was dressed like a mobile home guy.
That's funny. Yeah, Rodrigo and I always talked a lot about just on wholesaling. Like you can't really show up dressed to the nines if you're offering somebody $25,000 in their house.
Oh yeah.
Like you see all these guys on Instagram and they're wholesalers and they're flexing, they're driving Ferraris. It's like you can't drive a Ferrari and then buy somebody's house, like I said, for $20,000 and then turn around and sell it for $100. Like I
We'll
just
try that on mobile homes. It's even more. I'm like literally. I mean, I probably get on average a house every other month for free because it's just like I don't want them. You know what I mean? Or the
Really?
average price we put a house at is probably $5,000. The average price I buy a single out at. So it's pretty hard to show up looking fancy when that's your offer.
Sure. So let's dive into that. So now you're in Georgia. You're kind of stumbled into this business of sourcing homes, basically, right? Mobile homes. And I guess where does that leave you after you did your first deal? Like, is that something you're committed to, I guess, building into a business then?
So
Or
yeah, the next
kind of what's the long-term play there in your head?
So the next thought was,
I don't know. I'll have to continue this another time.